This next curve is a little bit different. It's piecewise, so we're going to consider each piece individually. Let's start with this point. This point appears to be 1, 2. With respect to the domain, we see that this point right here corresponds to an x value of 1, and as we trace along and consider each point on the line to the left of that point, we realize that we're going to have a region on the x-axis that is shaded in infinitely long to the left. We then consider the other portion of the curve. We see that this, which appears to be the point 2, -2, corresponds to an x value of 2. However, we're going to put an open circle there because there's an open circle on the original curve. From there, as we travel along, we're going to shade in all relevant x values, the horizontal dimension for each point, and we stop at an x value of 4, and we put a closed circle there because it would appear that this curve actually does have an x value of 4. Specifically, when x is 4, it would appear that y is 2. So we stop right there. Now, how would we state this in terms of a domain? Well, it would look to me that we're talking about all x values that are less than or equal to 1, as well as all x values that are greater than 2, but at the same time less than or equal to 4. So we simply state that in set notation: a set of all x's that are elements of the reals such that x is less than or equal to 1, as well as this second interval 2 less than x less than or equal to 4, or alternatively we can simply state it in a slightly different order: x such that x is less than or equal to 1, or 2 is less than x less than or equal to 4. X is an element of the real number system. We come back here now to look at the range. Starting at our point 1, 2 again, we go to our vertical value of 2 on the y-axis, and as we proceed to the left along this curve and consider every point, we realize that we're going to be proceeding down along the y-axis infinitely low. We then consider the second portion of the curve right here. The point 4, 2 is right here again, a y value of 2, and we then proceed down this portion of the curve until we get to a y value of -2, and we consider that there's an open circle there. However, the open circle here isn't really open when we consider the range, because it was colored over here. Think of a wall that you don't paint blue and then you do paint blue in a certain spot. Well, that spot is blue, even though you didn't paint it blue the first time. So in other words, this x value of -2, it might be tempting to say that it's not an element of the range, or sorry, this y value of -2, it might be tempting to say that it's not an element of the range. In fact, it is an element of the range, because this point had the effect of shading it in blue on the y-axis. So our range, although our domain was pretty complicated, our range is actually relatively straightforward. It's just y less than or equal to y less than or equal to 2. So we take a look at our range. Y is an element of the reals such that y is less than or equal to 2, or alternatively y such that y is less than or equal to 2, and y is an element of the reals.